Good morning. Good Friday morning, everybody. How's it going? Today is April 26th, 2019, the Friday opening of Avengers Endgame in theaters. I'm sure many of you guys are probably inside the theaters right now. And I checked the local theater here. What's up, Dynamic Living Person? Uh, I checked the local theater here, and they have showtime for Avengers Endgame every 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes, man. Holy crap. That's insane. They only have like probably three because it's like a 22 screening theater. It's a pretty big theater. I want to say 22. Is it 18 or 22? Well, around that. So they only set apart like four rooms for theater screenings for four other movies. The rest are taken by Avengers Endgame. It's insane. It's insane. Um, it's gonna be a big moneymaker for Disney and Marvel Studios. But I'm not here to talk about Disney nor Marvel Studios. I'm here to give you my weekly review of one of my favorite shows on streaming services, specifically DC Universe, DC's digital streaming service. And of course, I'm referring to Doom Patrol. That's right. A new episode has hit the web today, and I just finished watching it. Oh my god, I actually love this episode. This might be my favorite of all the 15 episodes that they have for this season one. Um, so it's season one. Today's season one, episode 11, and the title is Francis Patrol. Now, before I move forward or get right to the context, the synopsis, and then the review, a couple of things. First up, I want to give credit to one of Rama Screen viewers named Job Zeldenrust. Job, if you're watching this, thank you so much for uh, your information that you gave on the comment of on my last week's review, the Beard Patrol, because I mentioned in that video I couldn't find information about the Beard Hunter, and you said on the comment that the Beard Hunter is part of Doom Patrol comic book volume 2, number 45. And to be honest, Jab, I kid you not, I googled it, I didn't find it, but that was my bad. Maybe I looked at the wrong website, I overlooked it somehow. But thank you, Job, for the heads up, for the information. Again, you guys, I did not grow up reading Doom Patrol comic books. I am just a fan of the show, this show only. So I'm learning as I go when it comes to Doom Patrol mythology, universe, characters, and whatnot. But I'm a big fan of this show for what it is. So thank you for that information, Job Zeldin Russ. Secondly, real quick, also that like with all my TV reviews and my episode recaps, this too contains spoilers. So this video will have spoilers. This review is mainly for those of you, my fellow Doom Patrol fans, who have also watched today's new episode. Okay, let's get right to it. So season 1, episode 11, titled Francis Patrol. We have Cliff Steele, aka Robot Man, Larry Trainer, aka Negative Man, um, Rita Farr, aka Elastigirl, Crazy Jane, and Victor, aka Cyborg. So what happens in today's episode is they pair up Cliff Steele with Rita Farr, and that story is about Cliff Steele. Uh, he finds out that the man who has raised his daughter all these years, because Cliff Steele is all these years is presumed dead. Now he's a robot man. Um, that man, I think his name is Bump. He dies, and the cause of death is that he gets eaten by an alligator named Francis in Florida. Now I've been to Florida many times. I've seen alligators up front, and I don't know, man. The idea of alligators eating a full-grown man whole, like completely, like it's ridiculous. It's silly. Alligators are dangerous. Don't get me wrong, but they're not crocodiles. I think crocodiles are slightly bigger. Those of you biology majors out there can probably correct me if I'm wrong. So that's one story arc. So Cliff Steele, Rita Farr go to Florida, they get teleported by one of Crazy Jane's personalities. Remember, one of them has teleportation ability, and she helps them get to Florida. Um, and so the story about Rita Farr and Cliff is Cliff tries to get the nerve together, pull himself together to talk to his daughter, to his estranged daughter, whom he hasn't seen in years. Okay, so when it comes to Crazy Jane spends time in this episode with Victor, aka Cyborg. Cyborg finds out that um, more and more parts of his body and I guess organism, as you call it, is becoming more cyborg than he is human. So he opens himself up. He cuts himself open. Like, whoa, that part wasn't there yesterday or the other day. It's like, that's not supposed to be there. Now it's there. Now he's becoming more and more robotic or cyborg, if you will, than he is human, and that freaks him out. And Jane invites Victor to find out this lead that might get them to tracking down Chief, because Chief is still missing. Um, and in this time that they spend together, Crazy Jane reveals to Cyborg the reason why she wants to find Chief. All right, so that's the second arc. The third one, of course, involves Larry Trainer, the last member of our Doom Patrol group. And Larry Trainer, as you know, my fellow Doom Patrol fans, has been struggling with this radioactive thing inside of him. He keeps trying and trying and trying to um, make this relationship with this thing work. And so in this episode, this thing, um, every time he kind of gets out of Larry Trainer's body, it causes Larry Trainer to go into this dreamlike state where in his dreams he spends time with his old boyfriend, or a boyfriend from the 60s, John. And long story short, lo and behold, we find out in this episode that the actual John in the real world, not in the dream state, um, is at the age of 80s or 90s, and he's dying. He's in his last leg of life. So that's the revelation that Larry Trainer finds out about his former lover, John. So those are the three arcs, three contexts, three synopses that happen in today's episode. Now let's start with Cliff and Rita. Um, I don't think this is the first time that Rita has been paired up with Cliff. So I don't remember the last time, but it's fascinating how. Okay, first of all, before I get to Rita and Cliff, I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the episode, Crazy Jane tries to have a family meeting. Right? It's like, we gotta find Chief, we gotta find Chief. She couldn't care less about, like, like, yeah, whatever, because Crazy Jane has her own shit. Now she's all like, oh, we gotta find Chief, we gotta follow this lead, the Metallo lead thing. And then right after that, everybody disperses to get their own to be mindful of their own problems, like Larry with the radioactive thing, and then Cliff and Rita with his daughter thing. And so my point is that, oh my god, every time they decide to find Chief, or every time they're like, you know what, today's the day we're gonna try to look for Chief, 5 minutes, or maybe not even 5 minutes, like less than 2 minutes after they say it, they get distracted again. Their attention moves somewhere else. There's some, each of them will be like, oh, there's this thing that I gotta take care of. I gotta take care of that one first, and then they're like, oh no, I gotta see my daughter. I got whatever. There's always something. So I mentioned to you that after, like, what, 11 episodes, I don't know if it's gonna get irritating, this pattern. But I must admit that by now, instead of being irritated, I'm like, you know what? Why not? Why not? Sure, sure. You want to go off and do other things instead of fighting Chief? Why the hell not? we've gotten used to that. Um, so when that happens again today, I'm like, of course. Finding Chief, rain check on that again. Finding Chief gets pushed and pushed all the way further back to the back seat once again. Um, oh, instead of Finding Chief, you wanna meet your old boyfriend in your dreams. Of course. Why am I not surprised? Of course, that's what you gotta do, Larry. so so that's my attitude now towards that. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a Doom Patrol show. Um, it, it is so Doom Patrol for it's so them to be distracted by something else instead of finding Chief. It's so them. Now, I love this episode for many reasons. Um, one of which is the pair up, Victor and Crazy Jane, and Rita and Cliff, and then of course Larry and that radioactive element inside him. And so that's an interesting pair up. So let's start with, let's dissect one by one. Cliff Steele and Rita. So Cliff Steele sees his daughter all grown up now, and his daughter has this lovely eulogy about the man who raised her. And apparently there's this gold watch that Bump used to wear, and that used to belong to Cliff. And now, because he got eaten by an alligator, so Cliff goes to the swamp, tries to wrestle the alligator to find the gold watch. He's so gung-ho in improving himself. Like, I can't believe, like, he basically saying, like, I can't believe that man is regarded by my daughter as a hero, as a dad, when I'm her dad, when I'm supposed to be her hero. I'm supposed to be the one that she looks up to, not him. So that consumes Cliff, consumes Robot Man. To the point when Rita Farr's like, hey, isn't that nice? You get to see her. Like, I mean, talk to her. Just talk to her. Don't be like trying to wrestle this alligator and getting the freaking gold watch out of the alligator, and just talk to her like normal being. Like, Rita is like the shrink, or Rita in this episode is like Cliff Steele's psychiatrist, and she makes great points, surprisingly so, in her Rita Farr Elastigirl way, of course. Um, and it's like she tries to talk some sense into him. Cliff, come on. But Cliff is so obsessed, like, I'm if I find that gold watch, I'm gonna show to her that, hey, I'm her hero, and it never comes, it never crosses, during that point, it never crosses Cliff Steele's mind how this man, Bump, who takes his place all these years to raise his daughter, it took a while. It takes a while for Cliff, or it takes a while to sink in on Cliff's mind to realize that is a good thing. That the fact that there is somebody who actually took care of his daughter in his absence, that is a good thing. He's, it took a while until by the end of the episode, then he finally, when he leaves the gold watch, but never actually talks to his daughter. Um, I think that's when he realizes, in my assessment of that situation, I feel like he realizes, you know what he did was good. This guy that I've hated because he took my place. What he did was good. Look at him. Look at my daughter. He's nice. She's all grown up, really well, nice, and she turned out really fine. Um, and I think by that point, Cliff realizes that I don't really need to reveal myself to my daughter, or talk to her directly. I think the gesture of returning that object that she holds dearly, would be more than sufficient, and that is a sign, or that signals the maturity of Cliff Steele. Because when Cliff Steele was a human being, he was he was an asshole. He was not a good dad. He was not a good husband. I mean, he was a good dad to his daughter, to be fair, but he was all tied up in this fame and fortune and other stuff going on in his life, in his career. Um, and so I'm glad that I think that is one of the reasons why I love this show, specifically this episode, is that it's more than just about introspection or um, reflection or existential soul journey. We get actually to see the characters coming to embrace, you know, the realities of their situation. The same goes with Larry Trainer in this episode. Um, he's so hung up on trying to keep returning to his dreams. He's like, I want to go back. I want to go back to that hotel. I want to go back to that back of the pickup truck with John, just me and John. And during that obsession, or yeah, obsession, let's just say it, he forgets the fact that he hasn't really uh he hasn't really grown out of his fear of what people may think about him, what people may think about the fact that he's gay and he has this relationship with this man. So just like Cliff Steele, it's like he's so gung ho. It's like, oh, I'm gonna prove my that I'm the hero of my daughter. That my daughter should look up to me. It's like he forgets the fact that, dude, there's this other guy who actually helped raise your daughter, and your daughter turned out well and fine because of him. And so in the case of Cliff, it took him a while also to realize that, until he finally sees his old flame in his deathbed. Um, well, maybe deathbed is a bit too exaggerated, but last leg of life. um, and these two stories of Cliff and Larry, the evolution of the character in this episode is very it's very heartwarming, especially when Moon River starts playing the song Moon River. Everybody, of course, falls for Moon River every time, including yours truly. And but it more than that, the episode really tugs at your heartstrings. Um, it's all about the drama with Doom Patrol. Um, Rarely do you see the action sequence or the punching and the fight. When they do happen, of course, it's extremely brutal and violent because it's a DC Universe presentation. But they for this episode, the writers really kick the drama into high gear. I mean, this is the level of This Is Us, that tearjerker drama on NBC. They really going for that, man. With this episode, they're going for that, and to make you reach for that Kleenex box, especially in the case of Larry Trainer, when of course John passes away by the end of this episode, and it's like, if you feel it right here, it's very emotional. The same with Cliff, when Cliff leaves the gold watch without talking to his daughter. Lives you die right here. But both characters, I think, finally come to that maturity, full, growth of mind that Rita Farr previously had achieved. Remember, in previous episodes, we saw Rita Farr coming to that term as well, coming to embrace the realities of her situation. She started to pull down um, her old mugshot photos from the Hollywood Golden Age. He took down her poster. It's like, you know what? I should not be living in the past. I should learn to move forward. The past will always be a part of me, but I can't be like wishing for it to keep happening. Like it's not gonna happen. So Rita Farr already reached that maturity mindset in previous episodes, and now we see that happening to Cliff Steele and Larry. And and that's just so endearing. Um, yeah, it's just this episode makes you go, oh, especially that shot when Carla, or Clara, I think her name, Cliff Steele's daughter, now all grown up, because Cliff Steele kind of tries to help her get onto the stage. She's about to give her eulogy, and you see that one shot of her hand on top of Robot Man's hand, and then flashback to her hand when she was small, holding her dad's hand, Cliff Steele, back in the day. And it was just like, oh man, kudos to the writers and the director for really even think of that one detail that just gets you right here, that just goes straight for the heart, man. This episode, I love it. I love it for that. Um, in the case of Larry, though, man, that's a real lesson learned kind of moment for us. The fact that, like, okay, he, because John keeps saying, like, hey, times have changed now. We don't have to, like, you don't have to, like, be fixated on what people think about, or be afraid, or like, just embrace it, man. Just, just live in the moment with me. And that's something that speaks to me, and I think to all of us who, when we're busy, or letting our fear kind of drives us, instead of living in the blessings of the moment with the people that we love and what we have at that given hour, you know. And so I love that whole message or theme in Larry Trainer's arc in this, and his relationship with his, the radioactive thing inside him, because up to that point, the element seems to be the one that's on the steering wheel, and up to that point, or prior to that, Larry doesn't seem to have control of it, and it's like every time that thing comes out, Larry passes out, and that's about it. It's like a pattern thing. But now it seems that Larry and the element inside him have found a rhythm, or at least a mutual understanding. Like, okay, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, sort of thing. And so we've come to that point now for Larry. Larry has come to that point, and that's cool too to see. If you are fans of Negative Man, or if you are fans of Matt Bomer, ah, I love it whenever there's an episode of Matt Bomer showing his face. That guy is so handsome, such a dreamy guy. so uh, so this is one of those episodes again. Love it. Matt Bomer is one of my favorite actors since White Collar. I think in an alternate universe, Matt Bomer would have made a great Superman. Last I heard, there's a rumor that Matt Bomer actually tried out for Man of Steel but didn't get the part. I don't know if that rumor was true, but yeah, Matt Bomer, dreamy actor. Love that episode when he sang with Danny in that whole on the stage singing thing, Danny Street episode. So yeah. Lastly, Victor and Jane. Jane reveals to Victor why she now cares about finding Chief. Apparently, she feels like the Chief owes her an explanation for the fact that there's a room designated just for Crazy Jane in that place where that episode, uh, the Doom Patrol, the previous Doom Patrol that are now old and insane because of Mr. Nobody. That facility has a room for Crazy Jane, and she's like, I want to know why. He owes me that explanation. So Crazy Jane now has a motivation to find Chief. Um, and Victor doesn't need a motivation. He always adores Chief. But Victor's journey right now is trying to figure out why is his system is turning into what it is turning right now. The fact that he's becoming more cyborg than he is human, and he holds resentment for his dad, so much so that he doesn't want to turn to his dad for answers, even if like even if it's as easy as picking up the phone and like, Dad, what's wrong with me? And I'm sure, like, even for the few episodes that Silas Stone show has shown up in Doom Patrol, uh I get the sense of a tough love thing, like a dad who wants his kid to, like, hey, um, our relationship is not lovey dovey. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be straight with you, and if it's gonna be harsh, then you're gonna have to take it. So it's a tough love thing, and but despite that, Silas will always be there for Victor. At least that's the impression I get. So I think Victor at this point, just his mistake is that he doesn't give his dad the benefit of the doubt. Um, but of course, as you know from this episode, um, Crazy Jane and Cyborg get interrupted by, I think, the Bureau of Normalcy. So their journey to find Chief get interrupted by these guys who now have a cyborg in captivity. So I'm guessing next week's episode will be about Rita, Cliff, and Larry trying to find out. Oh, and Crazy Jane trying to find out where they took Cyborg. So it's going to be another rescue mission. Um, on top of, or in addition to, finding Chief. So yeah, overall, this is a fantastic episode that again tugs at your heartstrings. It really is an emotional journey for Cliff Steele and Larry specifically. Um, and I don't mind. I don't mind. By this point, I'm like, every time that they have a new distraction that takes them away from finding Chief, I'm like, fine, of course, I'm all in. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm like, I'm in, because I'm now at that point where I'm curious to see more of whatever drama that each of these individuals um, faces. Their personal demons and personal struggle. And I think the writers have done a pretty good justice work on each of them. And whenever they're paired up, or whenever each of them is solo, so it's such an interesting and unique superhero series when the emphasis is much heavier on the drama instead of the action. Instead of like beating up Mr. Nobody, because that's what probably other superhero shows would do. They go straight to the villain, and then they have a duel. So what an interesting take. I love it. I don't think Doom Patrol is for every superhero fan. Um, Even those who may not be DC fans, I think for fans who want to see something happen more frequently and more action packed, then Doom Patrol, my guess is, will not resonate with them. But this Doom Patrol resonates with us who don't mind taking our time on a journey or walking with these characters. So yeah, love it. Such another fantastic episode. It's on DC's digital streaming service, DC Universe, every Friday. Of course, there are 4 episodes left before Swamp Thing arrives on the last Friday of May. I can't wait for that. Oh, it's so cool. The trailer looks amazing. Thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in on this live review of Doom Patrol Season 1, Episode 11, titled Francis Patrol. If you have seen it too, and if you agree or disagree with my assessment of this episode, share your thoughts in the comment section below. For reals though, I really want to hear what you think about this episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe, press that like button, ring that bell. And if you can help support me, help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this.